I teach you things that are going to help you flatten your glucose levels, so keep your blood sugar nice and steady. Now, a few things happen when we keep our blood sugar nice and steady. Firstly, our cravings reduce. And that's because when we are on a glucose roller coaster, after every glucose spike, there is a glucose dip. And this dip activates the craving center in our brain that tells us to go find some cookies, some chocolate, some chips, and to eat them. So when we steady our glucose levels, those cravings diminish. Second, when we steady our glucose levels, our hunger reduces. That's because we're eating nice, satiating protein in the morning, because our hunger hormones, ghrelin and leptin, are nice and steady and not doing crazy swings all the time. So we tend to be just less hungry generally, and we feel like we're less victims to all the food around us. So we can go for hours without eating, and this doesn't cause too much of an issue. And that's because of reason number 3. So reason number 3 that steadying your glucose levels can often lead to weight loss is because when we steady our glucose levels, we are also reducing the amount of insulin in our body. Insulin is a hormone that gets sent out by our pancreas to grab any excess glucose during a glucose spike and store it away. And this is very good and very helpful, but there's a little bit of a catch. When there's a lot of insulin in our body is told to not burn fat. So when there's high insulin, there's no fat burning. And this fat burning thing, which you probably have seen on the cover of dozens of magazines, the reason that fat burning is important is not because it's going to make you lose weight. It's because if you're able to burn fat for fuel, it means that you are metabolically flexible. That means that you can easily switch between burning glucose for fuel, glucose from a recent meal you just had, to burning fat for fuel. And it is very important that your body can do both and can switch between one and the other. People who are not very metabolically flexible, so who rely mostly on glucose for fuel all the time, they're hungry every 2 hours. They get what's called low blood sugar. And if their meals are delayed or if they don't have a snack with them in their car, they can get really shaky and nauseous. That's because their body does not have the muscle, the memory, the habit, the capacity to switch to burning fat for fuel. So when we steady our glucose levels, we also reduce how much insulin is present in the body. This allows us to burn more fat for fuel, to be more metabolically flexible, and it helps us just feel better and go about our day without thinking every 2 hours, what am I going to eat next before I get too shaky? So in that sense, being able to burn fat is incredibly helpful and important and healthy. Now, if you take those 3 things combined, the reduction in cravings, the reduction in hunger, and the increase in burning fat for fuel, yes, when we flatten our glucose curves, that often also leads to some fat loss on the body. But this fat loss is something that is a consequence of all of these other health-promoting situations going on. Hey, really